You finally found a dropshipping product worthy of testing through Facebook ads, but now you're confused whether to launch your ads utilizing CBO or ABO. In this video, we're going to be covering the difference between each strategy, when to use it, and by the end of it, you'll know whether to use ABO or CBO for your Shopify store. What's going on, beautiful people? It's your boy Yash. Welcome back to the channel. I hope each and every single one of you guys is absolutely having a great day and a great week. If you don't know who I am, my name is Yash. On this channel, we talk all things e-commerce and digital marketing. If you are new, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel with that post notification bell turned on so you guys are notified with all recent videos. And if you do want to get your good deed of the day out and done with, make sure you guys drop a huge like on this video. Do me a favor, go down and absolutely smash that like button. It would absolutely mean the world to me. I'm going to keep this video as to the point for you guys. So without any further ado, let's hop into my computer so we can go over CBO, campaign budget optimization, and ABO ad set budgets. So what is campaign budget optimization, also known as CBO? Well, if you have ever created a Facebook ad from scratch for your dropshipping store, on the first page, you should see a little toggle on option for CBO. Of course, if you never created a Facebook ad and you plan on doing so, this is especially very important for you guys to listen. Essentially, if you do toggle on that little CBO option, Facebook campaign optimizations are made from the campaign level instead of the ad set level. That means that you as a Facebook advertiser cannot set bids or separate budgets at the audience or ad set level, regardless of how many ad sets you have within a single campaign. With CBO, you're essentially giving Facebook the power to automatically, in real time, optimize towards the best performing and lowest cost audiences based on what Facebook deems most efficient and scalable. For example, let's say you want to spend $100 in total for an individual Facebook ads campaign. In the case you are utilizing CBO, Facebook's machine learning and algorithm essentially takes over and it decides for you on how it's going to spend and devote that $100 across all of the ad sets. Like mentioned, you're basically giving Facebook full control, full power of how to allocate that budget for your campaign. And now it's going to be Facebook's job to decide, to learn, and to devote that capital or that budget to your best performing ad sets only. Now let's talk about the other side of the spectrum, ad set budget optimization or ABO, which is a little bit easier to understand, and it's also probably what most of you guys are used to of doing so. With ABO, optimizations are made at the ad set level instead of the entire campaign level. As an advertiser on Facebook, you can and you are allowed to sell individual budgets at the ad set level inside of your campaign. Meaning you can devote an individual budget to each ad set that you have within your given campaign. Of course, this means that your ad set or ad sets will spend its desired daily budgets in full. To understand this in a more simple means, let's say you have ad set A, we can also call it ad set 1, and you set the budget for ad set A or for ad set 1 at $10 per day. This means that no matter what, Facebook will make sure to spend the $10 throughout the day for that individual ad set. Now, if you do have multiple ad sets in a campaign, you can absolutely have each ad set at a different budget, meaning ad set 1 can be $10 a day, ad set 2 can be $5 a day, ad set 3 can even be $50 a day, so on and so forth. It can almost be said that each ad set has its own character, each ad set has its own spending power, compared to CBO, where the campaign is the boss over all of the ad sets. I did want to include this little visual breakdown for you guys to better understand the difference in terms of what's happening and how your campaigns are performing when you have CBO enabled compared to when you don't have CBO enabled. Let's look at the right side first, where it says with campaign budget optimization. So this campaign, guys, will be with CBO enabled. And let's say you set that CBO or campaign budget at $30 a day. Again, this means that you want your entire campaign to spend $30 within that 24-hour time frame. And now let's say within that specific campaign, you also have 3 individual ad sets: ad set 1, ad set 2, and ad set 3. You can see this little key down here. The red square is what the budget is, which is $30. The budget spend is right here, so $7, $18, and $5. I'll get that to in just a little bit. And the blue is the amount of conversions or the value of the conversions. So when you do have $30 tied to a CBO campaign, guess what's going to happen? Facebook is not going to allocate an even amount of dollars to each of the 3 ad sets. Instead, Facebook is going to decide how much to spend from that $30 to each of the 3 ad sets. In this case, ad set 1 at the end of 24 hours spent $7, ad set 2 spent $18, and ad set 3 spent $5. With enabling campaign budget optimization, we were also able to achieve a total of 15 conversions or 15 sales for that day. And the main reason is that ad set 2 had a really good audience. That was our best performing audience for the campaign. And Facebook knew that, and they actually spent most of the budget, almost half of the budget, to ad set 2, which means ad set 2 also yielded in a better ROI, return of investment, or ROAS, return on ad spend. We can clearly see that ad set 1 and ad set 3 weren't performing as well, or their audiences weren't as optimal as to Facebook standards. So they only spent $7 and $5. Facebook knows where to exactly allocate the most amount of money from your total campaign budget, which was $30 in this case. When we move over to the left side, this is without campaign budget optimization. This campaign is indeed using ad set budget optimization. Again, we have 3 different ad sets, just like the one on the right. Ad set 1, ad set 2, ad set 3. Now let's say our budget for this campaign is also $30 hypothetically. You would basically devote $10 to each individual ad set. So ad set 1 would spend 10, ad set 2 would spend 10, and ad set 3 would also spend 10. With $10 spending to each individual ad set, we can see that we were able to attain 10 purchases or 10 conversions for that individual day. We can also see that ad set 2 got the most amount of sales at 5 sales for that day. Ad set 1 came second at 3 sales for that day. And last but not least, ad set 3 came last at only 2 sales for that day. Now, because this is a side-by-side comparison, no CBO and CBO of the same audiences, if we did turn on CBO, we can see that this conversion campaign right here would have attained more conversions or more sales. And that is because it's very clear that ad set 2 has the best performing audience in it. Now, going back to the intro of the video, you have this product and now you know the difference between ABO and CBO and what kind of results you can attain with it. But which one do I use when it actually comes to setting up my Facebook ads? Well, let's get into that. I, in fact, have a very simple rule of thumb, and I say that if your product selling price, meaning what you're actually selling the product to your customers at, if that selling price is $35 or under, you do want to enable campaign budget optimization or CBO. Now, if you do this, you want to make sure that you're willing to spend $75 or $100 per day minimum. Even though the example I showed you before was only spending $30 a day, that was just for example purposes to simplify things down for you guys. The reason why you want to at least have your CBO campaign at $75 or $100 a day is because what I've noticed through experience, through spending multiple 6 figures with Facebook ads, is that CBO usually performs better when the budget is a little bit more aggressive, so it has more room to spend and it has more room to really figure out where to spend that money, where to allocate it to. So with that being said, if you're comfortable spending $75 or $100 a day at least, And if your product price is $35 or below at its selling price, then you can absolutely turn on CBO. At least that is what I personally recommend. And whether you do CBO or ABO, I recommend having 10 to 15 ad sets within your campaign. You do want to test as many cold audiences as much as possible. That's the main purpose of cold interest testing. Now, if your product selling price is $35 or over, you can still technically utilize CBO. I would just recommend utilizing ABO, ad set budget optimization, and that is because with CBO, when your product selling price is $35 or below, it is usually more of an impulse buy, and you can attain a lower cost per purchase, a lower CPP, or in other words, a lower cost per acquisition or lower cost per purchase. Just like you saw in the example before, Facebook can decide to spend only a few dollars to some ad sets and spend significantly more to the other ad sets. So with a lower ticket item that is $35 or below, you can probably have it be realistic that you are going to have a lower cost per purchase, meaning you're going to have to spend less per ad set more than likely to attain a conversion or a sale. With that being said, if you're using ABO or ad set budget optimization, you want to make sure that you have $7 or $10 allocated to each from the 10 to 15 ad sets you're going to have within that campaign. Now, for those of you guys that are watching that may have a little bit of a lower budget, you can still test with $3 and $5 ad sets, but I personally think they are a thing of the past because Facebook ads are getting more expensive. The bidding wars are climbing, especially since we're in the middle of Q4 while I'm recording this video, and it is getting more competitive and just overall more costly. I do want to wrap this up with some tips and some things to keep in mind. So personally, again, I've spent multiple six figures with Facebook ads. What I recommend and what I've experienced is CBO usually works best for scaling. Facebook likes when your budget is a little bit higher and your audiences are more nurtured and more seasoned. Facebook usually likes that. So what I've seen is that CBOs always work better after $250 plus. If you are using ABO, and this is kind of where you can go backwards and make sense of what I just said before, after 2 days or 3 days of your ad set spending their budget, what I would do is I would take the best performing ad sets that you have and combine them into one single CBO campaign at $100 per day. Because guess what? Now that you know which your best performing ad sets are in your ABO campaign, throw those ad sets into a single CBO campaign, whether that be 2 ad sets or 7 or 8 ad sets. I do recommend not having a CBO over 10 ad sets though. And that is because the budget will be too diversified all over the place. So if you are doing a CBO from the get-go, or if you're combining your best performing ad sets from an ABO campaign into a CBO, make sure it's no more than 10 to 12 ad sets. Regardless, that goes for any sort of ABO campaign. After 2 or 3 days, take your best performing ones and boom, throw them into a CBO campaign and let Facebook decide where to allocate that $100 to afterwards. It will allocate that money to your best performing audiences. Moving forward, let's say you are utilizing CBO and let's say you have it at $100 a day with 10 ad sets hypothetically. You can, I usually don't do this, but you can, to be safe, to have a minimum spend per ad set at $5 or $7 per day. And you can see right here, when you do budget and schedule your ads on the Facebook ad set level, you will see this little option where it says ad set spending limits. It says this ad set is part of a campaign that is using CBO or campaign budget optimization. If you have spending requirements for this ad set, add them here. So here where it says minimum optional, you can set it at $5 or $7. All in all this really means is that out of the $100, by spending a minimum daily spend of $5 or $7, Facebook will make sure that each ad set at least spends $5 or $7. So it will get a fair chance of spending. And you can do this to be safe, as I mentioned before, because you don't want like 2 or 3 of your ad sets to have spent like maybe $1 or $2 or $3 only out of the 100. On that first couple of days, at least the first and second day, you want all of your ad sets within your CBO to have a fair chance of spending some money. That's why if you want, you can definitely set a minimum spend per ad set at $5 or $7 per day so they all get an equal chance. Nonetheless, Facebook will end up spending the most amount of money from that $100 to your best performing few ad sets out of the 10 that you have in that CBO campaign. And last but not least, guys, be open-minded, test, 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 test. You're continuously going to be in the testing phase when it comes to Facebook ads, whether you're testing or whether you're scaling, retargeting, lookalikes, custom audiences, value-based lookalikes, all that stuff, guys. You're always going to be in the testing phase. You're always testing audiences. You're always trimming the fat from your ad account, right? From your audiences and whatnot. So be open-minded, try different strategies. This is what has been working for me over the last year or two at least, since I've become more and more proficient with Facebook ads. Facebook ads are my bread and butter for my e-commerce businesses, and they are my mainstream of revenue and mainstream of sales for my e-commerce businesses. And with that being said, I hope this helped and it gave you a little bit more of a clear idea of when to utilize CBO and when to utilize ABO. I tried to really simplify things as much as possible for you guys. My entire goal of this video was to really simplify CBO and ABO for you guys and for you to actually make better guided decisions and strategy plans. And of course, if you do have any questions, thoughts, or concerns, feel free to drop them in the comments below because I do reply to each and every single one of you guys. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.